Hey guys, before we get into this episode, if you ever enjoyed any of our videos, please hit the subscribe button right here. It helps us out more than you know it. So peace, enjoy the episode. All right, welcome to another episode of the C Network. I'm your host, Malaan, and today we have a very special guest. Malaan Ajang is a South Sudanese Australian model who has captivated the hearts and minds of people around the globe with her mesmerizing presence and inspiring journey. Malaan's journey towards stardom started at the age of 17 and since then has been on runways all over the world. Beyond the glitz of the fashion world, Malaan is a passionate advocate for community development and youth empowerment and dedicates herself to making a positive impact on society. I'm very excited about this one.
Hi. That was the most incredible introduction ever.
It had to be done. You are that, so I'm so glad you could join us and I can't wait to hear a lot about you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so glad. How are you feeling, first of all?
I feel good. I feel excited. Like this is where the magic happens. You've had the most incredible interviews, so I'm really honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
For sure. And before we get into your inspiring journey and the hard worker you are, the big dreamer you are, I want to take it back to all the way where it all began.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where do I begin. All the way from the start.
Let's go from the start.
I grew up in Kenya. So way before I was in Australia, Kenya was like my home. And for a long period of time, I actually was like, I would say I'm Kenyan before I say I'm Sudanese. You know what I mean?
Were you born there?
No, I wasn't born there. We migrated to Kenya when I was 4. And then I did like my primary school there until like maybe year 4. And then migrated to Australia in 2003 when I was 10 years old.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about Kenya. What was that like growing up in Kenya and going to school there?
It was from memory, because I was so young, I feel like it was a lot of fun. It was fun. I don't have any bad recollection at all of like a terrible time in Kenya. I think the Kenyan people were really accepting and welcoming from my experience anyways. I've heard terrible things, but I'm fortunate that I was, shielded or guarded, and I had a really pleasant childhood in Kenya. Primary school was so much fun. The first thing we had to do was like learn Swahili, because like that was the national language and that was the language that was spoken at school. And then the year that I left was when English was being implemented as like the language to speak. Thankfully, I had already learned both. So yeah, it was
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
Can you still speak Swahili?
Oh, I still do. Yeah. Before, what's it called? One of my dad's messages before I came to Australia was like, don't forget Swahili. I don't know why, but like now I see it and it's like, it's really nice to be, what is it? Bilingual. Yeah. I love knowing like a different culture. And I love that I can speak, Dinka, Swahili, and English. I feel like it's like my biggest flex. I love it. Yeah.
That's awesome. And did you have a big family? Did you have any siblings?
I do. I have 2 brothers. I have an older brother, Jacob, myself, and a younger brother, Kate. Yeah, so there's 3 of us.
I love that. And did that help with learning the language and adapting to a new culture?
It makes it so much easier when you have, and especially because we're close in age. So we just like bounced off each other and sharing our experiences and, teaching each other whatever continent we're on. Yeah. And having each other's back. It's like having a best friend before, going outside of the world and making a real best friend. Yeah.
I love that. And who was the most excited about coming to Australia?
No one.
You weren't excited?
Not
you
at
loved
all.
Kenya that much?
I loved Kenya that much because I guess in a way because we had such a good upbringing that I didn't see why we were, flying to Australia at all. I just thought, I had no idea. I genuinely didn't. Yeah.
So what was your favorite thing about being in Kenya?
I think it's like when you're a child and you've built like a community of friends. For instance, like all my friends were there, my school was there. Like I assimilated into the Kenyan culture. Like I said before, like I was like, oh, I'm Kenyan, but really I am Sudanese. That it was just like hard to leave a place that has become your home now. So like imagine getting so comfortable and starting your life somewhere and then having to pack up and go and then restart in a whole nother continent, in a whole nother different environment. You know what I mean? The comparison was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. What was young Malaan in Kenya like?
Very shy, surprisingly. I was shy, but I was also very friendly. So I had lots of friends in school, in our building. Like I was friends with all the kids my age. I was social when I was like around young people, but then I was like really shy when I was like around the elders. Yeah.
I love that. And
Yeah.
how was it like when you unfortunately had to come to Australia?
Um, I wasn't looking forward to it because I didn't know where we were going. All I could hear is like, oh, we're going to America. It wasn't even, they weren't even saying Australia. It was America.
Did you hear anything about America or any other Western countries before?
No, I hadn't.
Yeah, you were too
I hadn't.
busy just
I
enjoying
was
Kenya.
too busy enjoying my life as a young Kenyan child. No, I hadn't heard too much about America or Australia. I mean, the only thing I remember is like watching it on TV, but then I just thought like that was just like movies. I didn't really think that was like a reality. That there's like another whole world out there. Those people live. I just thought the world is Africa. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So when did you kind of start to kind of enjoy being in, because you moved to Melbourne, right? First? So when did you kind of got used to Australia and started enjoying it a little bit?
I would say almost instantly, because I think when you're young, it's easy to kind of assimilate into a culture. So just as we did in Kenya, it was the same thing here. Went straight to school, made a couple of friends, and just got comfortable. And luckily we knew how to speak the language. So I think that also eased us into, getting to know where we are.
Yeah.
So it was like almost quite instantly. Yeah.
I love that. And how important was having your siblings through that period?
Yeah, and I think, you know what, maybe it was like having my siblings with me and going through this journey together that made the process easy. I imagine that would have been the case. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was school like for you during your first few years in Australia?
School was strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, the education system was very different. Very, very different. And for instance, like, when you're late, you just get like a late pass. If you fail, you still move to the next grade. Whereas in Kenya, it was very strict. Like you actually had to be, you actually were punished if you weren't learning fast enough, or if you weren't, or if you were late, you would like either, pick up rubbish, or like, also depending on like what year level you're at. I remember when I got to year 4, then we were considered grown-ups. Like year 4s, if they're late, they had to wash the toilets. So like there was like harsh, what's it called? Harsh punishments for disobedience, or like not even knowing what a certain answer is. Whereas in here, I feel like it was just like, it was easy. And I was just like so shocked that like, you don't get hit at school. You don't get any, harsh punishment if you do something bad. Or not bad, but like just like, random things that you do as a child.
Yeah.
So I thought school was quite easy. Also, like even what we're learning in school was something I'd already learned in like year 2 or year 3. So for the first time, I was like the smartest kid in class.
All right, guys, stay tuned. We're going to go on a quick break, so don't go anywhere. All right, guys, welcome back. If you've just joined, I'm your host, Bol Mayan. So, Malaan, you are a model now. When did that become your career?
I started modeling when I was 17 years old. So that was when I was just finishing year 12. I got scouted on Facebook, actually. I don't know why I even had a Facebook account. Now that I think of it, I'm like, wait, what? That's how it actually happened. I had a mutual friend who was signed to an agency, and I think the agent had seen my profile off my friend's page. And and so they reached out to my friend and said, would your friend be interested? And that's how it all started. So as soon as I got signed, which was a very difficult conversation to have with my family because it was something that was very foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you know about modeling before that?
Before that, I just knew I knew I like work.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Perfect.
I knew what it was. I knew it's like, just walking on a runway, you get to wear really glamorous things. It's like a luxurious lifestyle. But I never aspired to be one. But when I was in school, a lot of my teachers encouraged me to pursue it, but it was just not part of my journey or like part of my goals or dreams. But when the opportunity presented itself, I was open to it because I heard it so often that I was like, okay, well, let me just give it a go.
It's awesome to see a lot more people of color in the industry now. And I know a lot more people inspiring to want to be models. What is something that you wish you knew before you got into this industry?
Oh, maybe not what I wish I knew before, because what's happened is the industry has become a little bit more diverse now, that it's becoming accessible. I feel like the time that I joined, it was kind of like almost like an exclusive club, like not everyone can get in. There was like a certain standard of beauty that was being portrayed in that industry. Now it's really exciting to see, different sizes, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, being represented in the industry. So it's like, it's changing a lot, and it's really exciting. It's really exciting because at the time when I joined, it was like there could only be one of us in a certain space or in a certain show, in a certain campaign. Now you have, you could even have like, different models of color and in one campaign, and that was like unheard of before because it was just very, it was, I don't know, it was just like it was not a welcoming industry at the time.
It's awesome to see, other people, other models in the industry as well. But are there other people of color doing jobs in the industry as well?
Oh no, not that I've seen. No, no, not that I've seen. I've definitely seen it. No, there isn't. Unfortunately, I feel currently backstage, a lot of models of color are still struggling with like having their hair done because they don't have a black hairstylist backstage, or even like things like makeup. Like there's still a huge struggle in that side of the industry. So as much as like, there's still, I don't want to say that there's still this tokenism, but there is tokenism. But at the same time, because I can see the, what's it called, the change that has happened over the years, I can kind of like accept it in a way. But, there's still a long way to go, and there's still so much more things that needs to change in the industry for everyone to feel welcome and for everyone to feel seen and accepted.
For any young, inspiring future models out there, what is a day in the life look like?
Oh my goodness, a day in the life of a model. It's, first of all, you need to understand that it is not an easy job. You see all the glitz and glam, the behind the scene is a lot. Life of a model, you need to have a very flexible schedule. You could get a call today saying that you're going to New York today or tomorrow. You could get a casting pop out of nowhere because a client has just figured out their time, they want to see you. So it's very difficult to keep routine. You need to be as flexible as possible with, opportunities just come out of nowhere all the time. And even like preparing for that, it's like you also have to mentally prepare and be ready at all times, basically. Day in life, I would, call times are also very like, all over the place. It could be a 6 a.m. start, it could be a 4 a.m. start. It could be a 12-hour day, 10 hours, and you're standing, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Yeah.
I got one more question about this industry. What's one thing that people might not know about being a girl of color in this industry?
Oh, that's a struggle. It's a struggle. I feel like we speak about it all the time, but the industry is just like taking a good ass time to hear us out. Things as simple as having the right hairdresser, the right makeup artist, because it does you know, hurt your self-esteem if if you're not looked after the way the other models are looked after. So I think that's one thing that most people don't see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, I know there's a lot of, no's and a lot of rejections. How do you deal with that? And that would be often, I'm assuming, not in
Yeah.
a bad way, but I'm
Yeah,
assuming
no,
just
no, no,
how
you're
the
not
industry
wrong.
works. Yeah. How do you
Yeah.
deal with that? And what advice do you have for someone, who might be going to be facing that?
Yeah. Again, I think I'll go back with saying how much the industry has changed now. And in terms of rejection, with social media these days, you can literally do anything. Just because one door closes doesn't mean the next one open. Now it's like, if you, for instance, like you don't need a folio anymore, a portfolio anymore. You don't need an agent anymore, even. It's like you can open your Instagram account and present yourself the way you want to present it, present yourself the way you want to, and you'll be recognized by brands. Brands or clients are now reaching out to the model before they even go out to the agent. Like there's no middleman anymore. Like that's really, my agent's not gonna like hear anything. But like you can really represent yourself now. Because everyone wants to be seen, and if you portray yourself the way you want to be seen, there's someone out there who's going to be interested in hearing your story. And I think like the best thing to do is just like being yourself. Being yourself is a key to getting any success in anything, to be completely honest. For instance, I feel like most of the jobs that I've gotten have come from me being true to myself, me representing my culture, me speaking about my family, me speaking about my journey, me loving myself and the skin that I'm in, my hair, everything like that. That's how I've genuinely gotten most of my jobs, because I'm content with myself. I'm not trying to be like somebody else. If someone else gets a job, I see that as like, oh, good for them, because they got that job because they're good at that. I'm good at something, and I will, showcase what I'm good at.
All right, guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break. All right, welcome back, guys. If you just joined, I'm your host, Paul Mayan, and I'm here with Malaan. So, Malaan, you're very ambitious, and I love that. When did that start?
It started when I realized that I was on this journey alone. Yeah, I was like, okay, you know what?
When was it specifically?
Oh, I would have to say maybe when I came back from New York. So when I came back from New York, I had a really hard time being away from home. It was my first time away from home. I knew that I had disappointed my family, the community, because they had such high hopes for me to become a wife. um, yeah, so I think at that point I came back and then I tried to go back to uni. I tried to get a 9 to 5, but then I was just like so unhappy. I was just like, I just was not, I knew this is not what I wanted to be. I wanted to be out there in the world. So when I quit uni and I quit my job, and then I called my agent and I was like, hey, I want to do this. He was like, all right, cool, no worries. Let's work towards it. So from that point, it would have been like, when was it, like 2013? That's when I decided I wanted to pursue this properly, and I didn't care who was coming along with me. That I needed to do this for myself, and I also wanted to prove that, there's other careers that you can take instead of the traditional, doctor, lawyer. And I feel like that's what most of our parents like just want their kids to be. I knew I was a creative, and I knew that this is where I needed to be. So that's when I decided that I was gonna do it.
So how long since you got back did the uni that you didn't want and the work that you didn't want till you got to the point where like, I'm gonna call my agent again? How long was that?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah,
And
3
how were
years.
you in those 3 years?
How was I?
Yeah.
I was unhappy. I tried really hard. I tried to be the ordinary, teenager or young girl that, was raised in his house, in his household. But then I just found myself, feeling that I needed to leave, that I wasn't, regardless of whether I was going to get, I felt like I feel like I was like living for my family or my culture rather than living for me. Um, yes, it took me 3 years to finally like, grow enough and say, hey, I'm getting out of here. I'm going. Yeah.
Yeah. And how did they react to that
Oh, not good
conversation?
at all. Not good. And I knew that, and I knew it was like, okay, if I'm going to decide to do this, I'm not going to have a support system. Yeah. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what's the relationship like now?
Oh, now it's so much better. I think, and I think that's why it's so important to at some point learn to speak up and just be honest about what you really want, because otherwise you will live such an unhappy life. And for instance, like, if when you're unhappy, then you're not your best self. And when you're not your best self, then you're hurting the people around you. And I didn't want that at all. So when I was hurting, I was like, okay, nah, this is not life. This is not how you should live it. You should live it truly and authentically as you can. So I now we have a really beautiful relationship. Now they understand that this industry was not trying to pull me away from the culture. It was not trying to pull me away from my family. It was actually going to teach me, and it was going to make me become the person that I am now. And now they're very proud of me. But before they were very scared that it was that I was going to forget my culture, or that I was going to forget my people. I'm going to forget my family, and that I was going to become a whole other person. So yeah, but then I feel like all of that just like come from education. So when I came back, I educated, like I would come back as me. I still came back very, what's it called? Like, very family orientated. I was still very involved in, my community. But I think they were just like really scared that I was going to change it to another person, which is like fair because like, there was just like so many other, what's it called, distractions that were out there that I could have easily been peered into, but I was always thinking of my family. So I stayed true to myself, and yeah.
I love that. And now you've got your wings,
Yeah.
you're free, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
What is now on Malaan's bucket list and goals and dreams that you could share with us?
Oh my goodness. I'm actually at a stage now where I'm just like, okay, I've accomplished almost everything that I've always wanted out of this career. That now I want to potentially maybe even to become an agent, because I know that this is the industry that I want to be in. I want to help other young people enter the industry and help them out and let them know, the ins and out of like how it all works. I feel like I have a key eye for talent. I feel like, oh my goodness, like every time I attend an event, I always see like, I would see someone, I was just like, oh my God, they'll be so great for this campaign, or they'll be so great for XYZ. So yeah, I think like, in the near future, I would love to own my own agency or talent management. Yeah, and oh my goodness, our community, there's so many talented people. And I feel like right now I'm just like trying to, show our parents or educate our parents or our community that there is like so many other pathways that a young person can take. And yeah, like I just feel like we really need to focus. I want like every parent to focus on their child's talents, because there's just like so much out there that that they can succeed in.
I love that. What does it feel like when you're somewhere across the globe, about to do a show, but you don't really see anyone that looks like you, and then you finally see someone that looks like you? What does that feel like?
That is the best feeling ever. That is the best feeling. Because the thing is, another thing that most people don't realize about this industry, it's a lonely career. It's you. It's just you and yourself alone. For instance, when I got scouted, I was 17, and I went to the Big Apple, and I'd never left the country before. And that's something that a lot of young models actually end up struggling with. It's like you're flown off to a whole another country, and you're by yourself. You have no friends, you have no family around you, and you've got to find your way around. You've got to go to castings by yourself. You've got to go to the agencies. You've got to go to shows by yourself. It really allows you to, or it makes you grow up quickly. And if you can't do that, then it's like it becomes really daunting and hard.
What are some of the most valuable lessons you've learned through your career?
Resilience. I've learned to be resilient. I've learned to be a go-getter. I've learned to not let what other people say or not let other people crush my dreams. I started at a time when, the modeling industry was not accepted in the community at all. Like, I'm telling you, like, literally, I had zero support. Zero, but I still went out there and did it. I went to New York, I went to South Africa, I traveled the world because I wanted to see the world, and even though I had zero support, I still wanted, I didn't let it kill my dream. I didn't let it kill my joy for traveling or for learning other cultures or meeting or connecting with other people. So yeah, it's definitely taught me resilience, and it's taught me, what's it called? How important it is to go after what you want.
Now, this has been awesome. So thank you so much once again for joining. I have had so much fun, and I've enjoyed learning about your journey, about your growth, and about who you were when you were in Kenya. It's awesome. It's awesome. So thank you so much for coming down once again.
Thanks again. I'm so honored. So honored. Have me back again.
Oh, definitely. We have so much to talk about. This is very hard, but we're definitely going to have another conversation.
Absolutely.
But honestly, your joy, you're an inspirational person to be around, and I think I'm very glad that we had this conversation today.
Thank you so much.
There we go. Well, thank you guys. There you go. That was Malaan. How extraordinary that was. Stay tuned. We'll be back next week. Take care, guys.
Bye.